judge me. It's still summer, but not for much longer, right? Who am I kidding? I hate summer.
Winter.
Bring it on. Hi guys, it's Leanne, and I am here today to do the How Do You Read tag. Nobody has tagged me for this tag, but I do not care. I'm doing it anyway. Question the first. How do you find out about new books to read? Booktube? It's going to be one of those videos, isn't it? I actually find out about books in a huge variety of ways. I watch Booktube. I especially take recommendations from my favourite booktubers out there because I find that even if we don't have really similar tastes, there's a reason that I'm watching their channel. And 90% of the time, even if it's a book that's slightly outside of my comfort zone, I still enjoy it. I use Goodreads a lot, like a whole lot. I don't actually usually use the recommendation functions. I just keep an eye on my feed and see what other people are adding. I listen to my local booksellers. They know me really well, and when I go into my local Waterstones, usually the staff can, at the counter or usually running up to me randomly in the middle of the store, can just shove a book in my hands, and most of the time I buy it and really like it. But I'm a serial author reader, so if I find an author whose novels I love, I will just look into their backlist and keep picking them up until I hit something that I don't like. And usually when you're looking at an author's website or their blog or whatever, there's recommendations for books that have inspired them, and I've found a lot of really good books that way. How did you get into reading? I came from a very book positive household. Although my mum wasn't a huge reader when I was a kid, when she was a kid, she read a lot of classics like the famous 5 books by Enid Blyton. And as I got older, she would regularly encourage me to pick up new things, generally including fluffy animals and pet hospitals. But she meant well. And I still have this little stack of books that I grew up reading hidden on a shelf. Peace at Last about snory teddy bears. 5 Little Kittens about naughty kittens left at home for the day. Tootles the Taxi and other interesting vehicles. Yeah, I don't know either. Mervyn Mouse, a children's book in verse which my mother and my grandmother can still recite in its entirety. Oh, let's see how I do. Mervyn was a country mouse who lived on Old Pete's farm. He nibbled at the corn all day and caused a lot of harm. And then one day a combine harvester came along and chopped off his tail, and that was all very sad. The Twits, James and the Giant Peach, and George's Marvellous Medicine, all by Roald Dahl. Nahaha. And Charlotte's Web, which... Question the third. How has your taste in books changed since you got older? A lot, I hope. The main thing that's really changed as I've got older is that I read a lot more non-fiction now. When I went back to university and did my literature degree, I had to read a lot of criticism and a lot of theory, and it kind of put me in the mood for finding out about authors. And from researching them, I kind of tripped into memoir. And from memoir, I've completely branched out and picked up all sorts of weird stuff that I would never normally have touched. Question 4. How often do you buy books? If any of you have watched my Booktubeathon TBR video, you will know that the genuine, honest answer to this is too many and too often. I purchase books in a couple of different ways. I keep a couple of Goodreads lists, so I have one for books that I'm definitely going to buy, books to buy that are part of an ongoing series that I'm reading, and maybe buy books, which are books that have sounded interesting but I want to do a little bit more looking into them or thinking about them or maybe reading a sampler before I fully commit. And when I'm feeling well and I'm in a good place, I buy a couple of books a month. I use Book Depository primarily. I use Amazon if I can't find anything on Book Depository, which is very seldom. And I go into my local Waterstones and I have a browse. Question 5. How did you get into booktubing? I do not remember how I discovered Booktube. I wish it had been this huge epiphany moment that other people have had, because that would be awesome, but I honestly don't remember how I stumbled upon it. What I can remember are some of the channels that I first got addicted to when I discovered Booktube. Leslie at Words of a Reader, Reagan at Peruse Project, Sona at Inkbones Books, Mercy at Mercy's Bookish Musings, and Hoffy at Bookworm's Tales. So it is the fault of all of these lovely ladies that I am coming to you today. Question the 6. How do you react when you don't like the end of a book? I honestly can't remember having a terrible reaction to the end of any book. I can remember a few times thinking blah, but I don't actually remember ever having a throw the book across the room moment. Question the 7. How often do you take a sneak peek at the last page of the book you're reading? Never. Never, ever, 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 ever. When I read this question, I was like, what? Who does that? Really? Since then, I've calmed down a little bit. I understand that some people do this and enjoy the books just as much for doing it, but nah, I don't get it. What I do, however, is if there's a particularly intense moment in a book, say battle to the death, or one character deciding whether they're going to stay with another character, or I don't know, something along those lines, I will have to attempt to restrain my eyes from slipping down the page to the paragraph below the one that I'm reading to find out if everything's going to be okay. And so sometimes I can be spotted reading like this with the bookmark as a barrier. And finally, question the 8th. Who are you going to tag? This is actually a bit hard because quite a few people have done this already. So I'm going to tag 5 people who I hope haven't done this tag. I did have a quick look on your channels first, but if you have, I'm so sorry. So Lindsay from Lindsay Ray, Kirsty from Kirsty on Books, Chauncey from Spiffing Lychino, and Jackie from Jackie B 1985. Give it up, ladies, I want to see how you read. So that was the How Do You Read tag, and however you're reading right now, I hope you're having fun with it.